divisions, beat Majestic Touch, and that was the last of the wins.
And I thought a very good run last start.
Yeah,
because I think Let's Play OK's won 2 in a row.
Yeah.
That was obviously second win at the Val there with Raymond on board, and it wasn't a bad run. Just got beaten just over a length and a bit. Looked well in the parade ring, going down to the start. Listen, I'm in the camp of Just Var number 3. I tell you why.
Yeah.
In Cape Town, he went up to a rating of 85.
93.
Or 93.
Yeah.
Okay. He's come all the way down to a rating of 62.
Yeah.
Run third, got a penalty. He's now rated 72. He's so well rated, this horse.
Yeah.
And well weighted that I think he's going to take a ton of beating. I think the change of provinces has done him a world of good, this horse.
Yeah.
Grant Barut's stable is in good form at the moment. So, listen, I think they're going to beat this horse.
Okay. Now, Vicky's one. Is that your first choice? Kingdom of Gold.
Look, I do like Just Var. And what I saw today, the way he behaved going down to the starts, that really impressed me, because he really can get above himself. He's normally quite a handful for Trent.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I will alert you if you are out and about. Maybe hold off until the afternoon. The roads weren't too bad in the area, but there is a little something coming down, and the thermometer on the dashboard said 27. So when I got to the side streets here, it got maybe a little bit slippery. The main roads were okay, but again, if you can wait till the afternoon, I would advise you to do that. This morning on the show, a little bit later on, we'll be joined by Nancy Holthus. They've got a couple of nice stakes coming up today and tomorrow. The Tinsel today, the Year's End tomorrow. We'll hit on that and just get a little recap of the first 3 weeks so far down at Oaklawn with Nancy. And so they're just into their meet. On the other side, on the flip side, as it were, Maryland Racing wrapping up their year. And they have a couple of stakes that every year I like quite a bit. 2-year-old girls, 2-year-old boys, the Gin Talking and the Heft. And over the past 10 years or so, a couple of horses have come out of these races that have proven to be worthwhile watching, when the calendar turns and they become 3-year-olds. So I thought we'd talk about the 2 stakes and maybe a little recap of some Maryland action from 2024 with our friend Dave Rodman. Haven't checked in with Dave in a while. Dave, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Seth. Yeah, long time no talk to. Everything's good here, except a lot of rain overnight. So we're looking forward to an off track today. So if you're handicapping the whole card, think wet.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the case with a number of tracks today and over the weekend and this past week or so as well. As I said, we haven't talked to you in a while, and one of my favorite racetrack traditions, did they do pies again this year down at Laurel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we did the Thanksgiving Day pies.
Nice.
Actually, the crowd was huge this year. The weather was great, and so cooperated. And your choice again of apple or pumpkin.
Nice.
No, still no mincemeat. Maybe the new Maryland Racetrack Operating Authority will get wise and give people the real choice.
Get back to the mincemeat. I'm good with the apple, and I'm not a big pumpkin guy. I will say, I'll ask you. I was on the radio the other day with Steve Bick before Thanksgiving, so we were talking pies, and he does a big spread for Thanksgiving. So he was going through everything. He said, "Yeah, I got an apple pie. I have a banana cream." And I said, "Banana cream? I've never had a banana cream." And he was outraged. What? You never had a banana? And I said, "Is that unusual?" And subsequently, a bunch of people texted in. Richard Migliori, I think, and a couple other people. Steve was reading off his phone and saying, "None of these people have tried banana cream. How can they not have tried?" Have you ever had a banana cream pie?
I have. I can't recall when or where, but it's been a while. Maybe at a Golden Corral, all you can eat. I don't know. No, I don't know. Maybe pie. Maybe some research can be done. The taste for pies could be a regional thing, right?
Yeah, I like bananas all right. And I said to him, "Listen, if there's a table and there's a banana cream sitting next to an apple, I'm going apple." So I just have never had it over the years. But yeah, and you bring up Golden Corral.
I think it was Bossier City, Louisiana, and the off season when we used to go to the all you can eat. I think they had banana cream pie.
Very good. I'm a Golden Corral fan. I love the pot roast at Golden Corral. Let's as I say, let's do just a little look back at the 2024 down in Maryland, and I just want to hit on one of the highlights. One of the highlights every year, obviously down in Maryland, is the Preakness, and this year it was a lot of fun. It added a real note to the Triple Crown this year. Seize the Gray won the Preakness, goes on to win the Pennsylvania Derby. But to see Wayne Lucas win another Triple Crown race was just incredible. And again, that had to be a highlight of the Maryland racing season.
Yeah, absolutely. He always takes his seat at the end of the barn there, and the press and the fans come over and talk to him, and he accommodates each and every one of them. So happy to see Seize the Gray's performance, and of course the barn, the stakes barn, was crowded with people because of the My Racehorse factor.
Yeah. And again, it added a whole, really right through the end of the year when Seize the Gray was showing up, and up at Saratoga to see Wayne Lucas on the horse in the morning, and just incredible and a great story this year. I pulled up stats. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to mention, what was the horse that won in California yesterday or the day before? The horse that won the Hilltop, the Laurel Stables horse. I forget the name of the horse. Like, when's the Hilltop going to get it to do and become a graded stake?
Yeah,
That's
really.
what I want to know.
Yeah.
Right?
And then for folks who weren't paying attention, the graded stakes came out the other day, and there was definitely some consternation on the pluses and minuses and who hasn't gotten it. But there's a number of Maryland stakes like that as well.
We had some very, very strong races, Preakness week, that really I don't think have gotten their due from the committee. Just my 2 cents.
No, I totally agree. And I think it's spaced such that you get some horses that you didn't see a couple of weeks before. And I think it always produces a nice couple of days of racing Black-Eyed Susan and Preakness Day. Pulled up the stats for the current Laurel meet, which started back on September 7th, both the trainer and the jockey. Jockey Jaime Rodriguez leads with 50. Next couple of jockeys are with 43. So he has a nice lead. Javier Toledo's in second. Torrealba, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, third or tied for second. Sheldon Russell.
Javier Toledo.
Yeah. Sheldon Russell in fourth. And his wife, Brittany Russell, a commanding lead on the trainer side of things. Brittany Russell continues. I mean, she came into the public consciousness, maybe 3 years ago or so, when the fall down in Maryland, she was hitting like 50%, and she has a huge lead, 51 over 28 for Jamie Ness at this point.
Yeah, nobody's going to catch Brittany Russell. Jamie Rodriguez, of course, riding a lot for Jamie Ness, but going back to Brittany, such an arsenal of horses coming in from California, horses that maybe don't work out too for Bob Baffert. So the numbers are there, and in sheer numbers, it's a very, very tough barn to beat. And they've done a great job with the Hillwood Stable Post Time, of course, local star, and, went on to distinguish himself on the national scene. So we always root for Brittany's horses out of town. She spread the stable out this year for horses at the fairgrounds as well. running everywhere from the Maryland base, and then shipping some down for the particular meets.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time. As I say, she kind of blossomed 2 or 3 years ago and attracted attention, then attracted, as you would expect, some major owners. And so subsequently, as you say, now she's kind of bouncing around and has horses other tracks as well. But she's with that.
And no turf season here, obviously. So, a lot of turf horses have looked elsewhere. And so she sent a string with some of her assistants to other locales.
You and I were talking before we went on the air just to alert people. If you didn't see the news, I talked about it on the show a few weeks ago, and I kind of lamented there was a loss of dates down in Maryland because Maryland racing has been so funny the past 10 or maybe a little more than that years. There was a down period, then there was a resurgence, and now, unfortunately, the dates have been cut again for next year. But I just wanted to know, because you and I were talking, after this weekend, there's going to be a little bit of a break. You're not going to come back until, latter part of the middle half of January, right?
Yeah, tomorrow is our final day of racing for 2024. Then we'll come back January 17th and run till early March, taking a 1 week break in March as Colonial Downs runs their Virginia Derby week. So that's just a 1 week break, and coming back and then running all the way until end of June. We'll be off basically July and August, save the very end of August with the Timonium meet, and then back to Laurel Park. All 3-day racing weeks, I believe, with the exception of Thanksgiving 2025, far in the future. So, we have to run Thanksgiving, right? Got to give away those pies.
Absolutely. You and I were talking.
So it's basically 3-day week, about 120 days for Laurel Pimlico. After this Pimlico meet, which is only a 6-day meet, Pimlico will be torn down, and then the brand new Pimlico will begin construction. They'll begin construction on the brand new Pimlico, keeping the racetrack configuration the same. And then Preakness 2026 will be at Laurel Park, and hopefully we'll be back at the new building at Pimlico for 2027. And then all racing will shift to Pimlico at that time. Long and complicated explanation, but basically 120 next year, 3-day weeks, and the final Preakness at the old Pimlico building. So if you want to see the old building once more with all of its charm, come on out.
And as I say, I was kind of lamenting the loss of dates because Maryland's such an important part of the American racing scene and has been for years, but there will still be a schedule of plenty of racing days next year, and so we'll look forward to those. And when you come back for the winter down at Laurel is always fun. Every 3 weeks or so, there's a nice stake schedule to take a look at, some stakes on the card, and we have a couple today.
And
Go ahead.
And I just want to mention, too, beginning 2025, if people were not aware, Maryland will be run by the Maryland Racetrack Operating Authority, which is a nonprofit. And so we're starting basically with a bottom line of the 120 days. We expect a lot of changes, definitely in the graphics for sure. You'll see a new look. January 17th, some new things, some new handicapping things that will be coming out with as well. Dan Ullman is now our Director of Communications from Daily Racing Form. He's taken the job effective January 1st. So we're going to have a lot of exciting things for the local fans, but also people who want information about the day-to-day card in a more updated fashion. I think you're going to like the new graphics and the new logo.
Oh, I like it. Very good. I saw Dan Ullman was hired down there, so good hire there because he's been good for years now at the racing form. All right, let's jump into the stakes for today. As I say, the 2-year-old boys, 2-year-old girls, the gin talking is on the filly side of things. They're going to go 7 furlongs. I mentioned that horses have come out of this and done well over the past 10 years or so. It's been a mixed bag. Some of them come in and have a great 2-year-old season, then don't quite follow it up. But some of them do very well. Like in 2015, Catherine Sophia came out and won the 2016 Kentucky Oaks. So we'll see if we have one of those types of runners in here this afternoon. I pulled up a replay of Capri winning the Maryland Juvenile filly back on December 7th. Capri's going to be the number 4 horse here. So she comes in with a solid record of 5 wins in 6 starts, including this one a few weeks ago. Beyond Belief is interesting to me. My Charm, I could make a case for. What are your thoughts in the Gin Talking?
Yeah, first I believe Beyond Belief. I did not get scratches before it came on, but I did read Dan Ullman's column in Daily Racing Form. Beyond Belief likely to come out.
Okay.
And there's a couple coming out of the half we'll talk about in a minute. But going back to Caprice, likely the odds-on favorite. She's won 5 of 6 Lifetime Pennsylvania bred filly by Golden Lad. She's only had 1 miscue in her career, finishing second as a 30-cent to $1 favorite when she hopped at the start and tried to bid, but the terrible start cost her the race. Otherwise, she's been picked 5 out of 6 Lifetime, and she's demonstrated a lot of versatility. Last time out in the Maryland Juvenile Filly you're showing, she went gate to wire. Jamie Rodriguez did not mess around, went right to the start. But if she's outsprinted by any speed, she can loop the field as she did 2 back, swinging up 4 wide at the top of the lane and gradually wearing them down toward the center of the track on a fast track in November the 9th in the Smart Halo Stakes. So accomplished stakes winner already at the age of 2. She's come back with a bullet work at Fair Hill since her last start. She's always been a good workhorse. Fast. The question is, off track today, of course, if you maybe have a little question about betting her at a short price.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see if she can continue. I mean, she's run very well so far. This kind, you also, as they get to the 3-year-old season in a couple of weeks, do they stretch out with Caprice? Going to be interesting to watch her going forward, certainly. All right, let's shift our attention to the boys in the heft. Before I get into the replay and whatnot, just update me if you have an idea on some scratches so I don't talk about the scratch scores.
I'm not 100% sure, but it was reported that Fire Pit, Baby Dukes, and Craft Daddy were aiming for Monday at Parks. Anyway, they weren't up on Equibase. I didn't have time to call Stewart's before we went on. But it looks like Sacred Thunder will be the colt to beat here for
let me just jump in because I do have a replay of that Maryland Juvenile. It's going to be the number 4 Tony Eclipse. Saxton is going to be the number 8 in here running second, and your Sacred Thunder that you just mentioned also runs 4th in here in a kind of a blanket finish for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I kind of like Saxton. I have Sacred Thunder underneath, and Barbadian Runner looks like a player as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, we think alike there. Sacred Thunder got in a bit of trouble in that race in the Maryland Juvenile. Post 1, didn't like being down inside, was stuck for just a bit behind horses on the turn. And once Torrey Alba got him out, he really started to run, got into gear late, was only beaten a neck and a nose for second. So I think he can beat Saxton today. He's the horse to beat in here. And going 7/8 of a mile, we did have a Gary Cap odds-on favorite that got beat yesterday, but that was a stretch out to 2 turns. I mean, he should excel in this spot. Now, he has been beaten. He got a win on the muddy track at Delaware, but he's been beaten a couple of times at Delaware on a sloppy, muddy track. But that was pre-blinkers. They've added the blinkers to him, and he seems to be a lot more focused. So he's going to be the horse to beat. Underneath him, I'm going to use Barbadian Runner, Seth. Blinkers going on, a horse that's been running like a snake up and down and in trouble and looking over to the grandstand of several races.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the trouble lines. He's got trouble in every start.
Yeah, just about, right? And then he closes, and then he's got one heck of a gear. If he can get his act together and stay focused, as he did in the maiden score, he came back to run second behind Baby Dukes, the aforementioned Baby Dukes. And then he's had a string of trouble. But more than that, the trouble really is he's just the kind of horse who's kind of tendency to look around a little bit. And I think today is going to be the day to turn the trick. Maybe he can beat Sacred Thunder, but I'm going to make a 5-2 fold exacta in there. I
like it. As they say, you look at the trouble line for Barbadian Runner. Steadied, bumped, ducked in, pinched. It's just, oof. And I have to admit, I once they start to string them together, I wonder if they don't just find trouble. But if he doesn't today, he could be a little bit interesting at maybe some value.
Another horse to mention is Brittany. We were talking about Brittany Russell, is one-man team. A 6-length winner, $285,000 purchase. Nyquist colt for Robert LaPentamatic at Stables. Broke the maiden first asking, going 6 furlongs. There hasn't been a lot behind that horse to come back and prove that was a really solid, legit effort. I mean, the win was strong, the number was solid, but Bernie the Star in particular is disappointed a couple of times out of that race, and so maybe that's a question mark there. Maybe the off tracks should help him too, don't know. But also, he got loose in the walkover at Aqueduct on December 6th. A lot of people may not remember that. In allowance optional claimer there as part of an entry, and then I believe the other part of the entry had to run for purse money only. But one-man team was going to run in New York, but didn't make it over to the paddock. So he wasn't active in the post parade in his debut here. He was pretty well behaved, so we'll see. Hopefully, they can get a true test of his ability today against Season Sacred Thunder and Barbadian Runner adding the blinkers, and a couple other really, really nice colts in here that have some promise, like Shooter's Got a Shoot, who also gets blinkers from Mario Saray. That would be kind of my dark horse in there, maybe to use in the triple.
Yeah, I think it's a fun race. I wrote at the top of the page wide open because the Brittany Russell horse to me is kind of a price play. At the morning line, I'm a little bit dicey, but if it floated up, but as you say, Shooter's Got to Shoot was interesting. Fun race. And as I say, every year, these two end of the year 2-year-old races are attractive to me down there, the Gin Tucking and the Heft. Dave, appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, one quick thing is Clubman, old Clubman, 10-year-old.
Yeah.
The horse that runs down here, he's going to have a little retirement ceremony today
nice.
Around the 5th race. We're going to give him a nice carrot cake and a send-off. What a horse. He can't run anymore in Maryland. He won his last start, too, at the age of 10. So Clubman, a recent winner on Maryland Million Day, and a horse that's just been around for years. As honest as could be, off to retirement today.
Excellent. Very good. Dave, appreciate the conversation as always. Again, fine work down there. Every once in a while, I'm listening to one of your calls and you toss something out. I have to laugh. I'll shoot you a text maybe or something when I hear it. But always entertaining, but always a great, efficient call as well. It's been a great 2024, as I say, highlighted somewhat by that Wayne Lucas win in the Preakness with Seize the Gray. But a couple days left this year, and then we'll plug you back in on January 17th as well. Dave, appreciate it.
Okay, Seth, everybody have a great day.
Appreciate it. Dave Rodman, again, a couple of nice 2-year-old stakes on this 2024 closing weekend down at Laurel. We'll take a break. When we come back, Nancy Holthus from Oaklawn. They've got some stakes action coming up this weekend as well. We'll talk about that and more. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, joined now by our friend Nancy Holthus from Oaklawn. Whenever Oaklawn fires up, we like to get Nancy in the mix, and they're 3 weeks into the meet, so I thought a good time to check in, maybe recap some of the early action. And they have a nice stake today, nice stake tomorrow as well. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me back.
Before we get underway, give us a little update on your weather. Weather the last week or so looked to have been a little dicey with an off track. Yesterday, though, it looked like the sun was out. You still had an off track, but it looked like the sun was out during the day.
Yeah, we got really lucky. The sun was out, but that is going to change. We did train over a very foggy and still muddy surface, and a massive storm front is going to come in and probably hit prior to first post. So we did abbreviate training this morning to go ahead and prepare the track for the inclement weather that's coming in.
Ooh, okay. I want to talk a little bit about the first 3 weeks, but before I do that, I just want a little overall on Oaklawn, because you're a great person to talk to about this. It's 2 weeks ago, somewhere in that vicinity, the Arizona Symposium, and Oaklawn President Lucella gave a keynote address, and there's no question that Oaklawn now is one of as we hit the end of the first quarter of the 21st century, it's one of the highlights on the American racing scene, certainly. And that has happened over the last, 10 years or so since you've been there. I pulled up some shots of the grandstand at Oaklawn. I pulled up a shot of the apron, which is packed typically on the weekends, as this photo shows. I also pulled up a shot because if folks visit, they'll often tweet out the picture looking out the window from the new hotel, a relatively new hotel, overlooking the track. I was up at Woodbine. We broadcast from there back in September, and they've got the hotel on the track where you can sit back in the morning and have your coffee and watch the horses working out, similar down there with the new hotel at Oaklawn. You've been there kind of through this transition. Just talk a little bit about it. As I say, Oaklawn is now one of the highlights on the American racing scene.
You know what, and as it should be, because it's kind of interesting to think that, in the early 90s, there was a state paper that had written our obituary. So we've really come a long way with the invention of instant racing and been able to, just really up our game. We have the biggest purses that we've ever had. They keep increasing purses, and we only now host the nation's richest road to the Kentucky Derby. So, it's such a blessing to be able to have the top horsemen, the top trainers, jockeys, owners, and Hot Springs has always been not only a destination, but a racing destination. I'll meet people from all around the country that say Oaklawn was on my bucket list. So, it just goes to say, how amazing our product is.
Yeah, and I can vouch. I was down a while ago. Before the hotel was built, the casino was there when I went. But it's... For folks in our area, it's very Saratoga-like. I think the town is very much focused on the racetrack during racing season, like we are up here. Again, you get nice big crowds down there. You walk around town and people are talking about the racetrack. So I would highly recommend people put that on their list of racetrack visits. You mentioned, the connections that come in. I pulled up the stats for the first 3 weeks on the jockey side of things. No surprise. Last year's leader, Christian Torres, currently leading. Ramon Vasquez second, Francisco Arrieta third, Bejarano, Santana, Keith Asmussen in the mix in the top 10. And over on the trainer side of things, interesting on the trainer side of things, because we have Steve Asmussen tied with Mark Cassie, Gennaro Garcia also in a tie, as is Ramirez Rodriguez. But I have a picture up on the screen of Steve Asmussen, and Mark Cassie has a string down there as well. And I thought that was notable this year.
Yeah, he was here several years back and decided to come back, amazing purses that we're able to offer, and very happy to see him back because he is winning at a phenomenal rate. And one name that you didn't mention, and I'm kind of surprised that the barn hasn't really, started to fire, is Brad Cox.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that it's his barn is almost like it's time to do your stuff or get off the pot, because I think they're going to start maybe being more aggressive with their entries. But that just goes to show you that a two-time Eclipse award-winning trainer has difficulty winning races here. It's not easy to make a trip to the winner's circle.
Yeah, I left off my list Tommy Amos, obviously, down there, Kenny McPeak. And he and Brad Cox are guys who can kind of bounce back and forth from the fairgrounds as well. Safi Joseph on the list, Ron McKett, obviously. So it's always a fun track to follow. It's one of my favorite tracks all year long. I think there's a lot of value to be had down at Oaklawn, and I think the first 3 weeks has proven that again. And let's see if we can prove it with some value in the stakes races. Let's take a look at today's stake, the Tinsel, 3-year-olds and up going a mile and an eighth. I pulled up a replay here of Horace Mann winning back on November 9th at Churchill. Horace Mann's going to be the number 3 horse, running second, Track Phantom. Horace Mann's interesting to me, but I'm going to take a little pop with Red Route 1, who seems to appreciate Oaklawn for Steve Asmussen. I also think Liberal Arts for the aforementioned Brad Cox becomes an intriguing player, sees the night in here. Creative Minister, Quality Chic. Fun field in the Tinsel this afternoon. How did you see it?
Well, it is a very good field. It actually looks like a graded stakes as opposed to just, a regular stakes. As you mentioned, Red Route 1, all 4 of his victories at the distance have been against stakes companies, certainly the most accomplished, earning over $1.8 million. But it's hard to believe he's 4. It feels like he's been around for so long. You think he's like 6 or something. But just from a numbers standpoint, I'm going to go with the horse to the inside, Horace Mann. Martin Garcia has been in the irons of this horse the last 4 times. And it's interesting. It's almost like the light bulb went off as soon as he was forced off the turf at Ellis and forced to run on the main and just won for fun. So has some amazing numbers. And the fact that his last race at Churchill Downs did produce 3 next out winners, including the grade 3 winner of the Rocket Can down at Gulfstream. So I think this is a great place for him to test the waters, test the stakes waters. And the barn says this runner, as good as he is already, he's steadily on the improve. So I'm very excited to see him today. And he is campaigned by Billy Koch of Little Red Feather.
Southern California connections there. Phil D'Amato as well, although Phil's been racing in Kentucky also. I always wonder, what with these kind of horses, though, as you mentioned, they have an off-the-turfer, and he clearly pops, and then they're on the dirt subsequently. And I wonder, what the conversations are back at the barn. It's like, what the heck were we doing on the grass?
Yeah, right.
And
hindsight, they say, is 2020. Yeah, so what can you do?
And of course, Bill Mott can relate to that with a cigar. So it happens to the best of them. All right, let's look at tomorrow. Tomorrow, the year's end. 2-year-old fillies going a mile for $175,000. I pulled up a replay here again, going back to November. This one's at the fairgrounds. It's going to be You'll Be Back, the number 8 horse. Lightly raced for Tommy Amos. This was the second career start. Seemed to definitely improved off the career debut to put in a nice victory here. Stretches out to 2 turns this afternoon, but seems to be coming in well. Jenkin, I think, is a player. Glee is interesting. Kinsey Queen, if I was looking for a little bit of an outsider. But how did you see tomorrow's the year's end?
Well, it's interesting. I love the fact that Stuart Elliott is coming in to ride Glee. He was in the irons for his last 2 victories, even though there was a race in between those both stakes, and he won those by a whopping combined 26.25 lengths. So the fact that he does have some off-track experience, and they actually shipped him here, and he did get a decent, just a maintenance half-mile work on Christmas Eve over the mud. But it's interesting, the other Ask Nathan contender, which his son Eric is riding, has been, really battling a tough runner in Good Cheer, who's, won the Grade 2 Goldenrod after that last race in October at Churchill, and very, very well bred. So we'll see how the year's end plays out, and you never know, we might see the next Oaks winner.
Hopefully, horse on the road to the Oaks anyway, because that's the way these 2-year-old races can kind of play out. Always love the 2-year-old races at the end of the year because you get closer to them becoming 3-year-olds and jumping on potentially Oaks and Derby trails. Nancy, appreciate the visit. I will once again compliment you and Matt. I'm sitting here doing the afternoon handicapping show, and I sit back and I see a lot of the pregame shows from the various tracks. And I tell Joe Christopher, I like he and the folks at Churchill. They do a great job. But you and Matt are always entertaining. I usually get a laugh as well. And the other day, a little visit from Santa Claus.
We did. I don't know what it is, but like when I see a Santa, my inner child comes out, which is not a bad thing. But it was cool because it was just such a festive environment. We gave away a lot of cash to our patrons in a contest. So it's always a good day. And I just want to mention something. Tomorrow's 7th race, Mystic Dan's half sister is running. So we'll get a good chance to see her as she makes her debut. It is race 7. She's the number 8. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, all right. We will definitely point that out as we get closer tomorrow. Thanks for the update. And also intriguing that you lost part of your pregame team, who is now riding up at Parks, correct?
You know what? I was so devastated when she said she wasn't coming back. But, once you have that bug to want to ride, it's very, very hard to get rid of, as we know with a lot of people that do come out of self-imposed retirement. But I could not be happier for her that she is following her dreams and she's doing well. So I am her biggest cheerleader, and I wouldn't be mad if she wanted to come back, but I'm elated that she is doing what she wants to do.
Yeah, she was a fun part of the team as well. But Crystal Conning now back in the saddle, and I guess you got to follow your heart, as it were. And so, wish her a lot of luck back in the riding career. But again, say hello to Matt, and again, give him and the team that put the pregame show together the thumbs up. You guys do a great job. Nancy, appreciate the visit this morning to kind of get a Oaklawn meet underway, and we will certainly check in again.
Thanks so much, and Happy New Year.
Same to you. Nancy Holthus from Oaklawn Park. Again, we have a nice stake today. The tinsel, the year's end tomorrow, and Oaklawn underway. Always one of my favorite tracks. Lots of good value there. All right, I'm going to step back because I'm looking at my monitor here, and with a 12:10 post at Aqueduct, they're about to kick off their pregame show, and I got to step back and get a little water here so I can keep the voice going throughout the afternoon. Feel well, just have like a chest thing going on. But I'll be raring to go in about, we'll be back an hour and a half or so, I suppose, for OTB Live for a Saturday afternoon. I have a little Aqueduct and some Gulfstream in my mix for this afternoon, but we'll have plenty of other action as well. All right. Again, they have the graphic up. Looks like they're about to kick things off in New York for their pregame show, so we'll send it down there. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Racing Across America on a Saturday morning. Seth Merrow in the studio. Back again in about an hour and a half for OTB Live on a Saturday afternoon. Stay tuned.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.